I have a confession to make. I have been absolutely grinding it out on NCAA 25. I put the kid down. Rebecca gets to watch nothing except me build Rice into a dynasty.
I don't think I've ever told you this.
Okay.
Back before my DJ name was Needle Sharp, it used to be DJ Giggles with a Z.
My gamer tag back in the day was CJ Moss is a boss. No, I don't know if it's quite as bad as DJ Giggles. What was your college experience?
I went to UNT.
The Ryan Serhant Netflix show?
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, you do. He's got like blondish hair in New York.
And kind of a tool.
I actually really like it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. A borderline certainty the rates are going to be cut come September. People are definitely more interested in seeing homes now that there is a finish line in sight.
I have a really productive question. What's your favorite bread to make in your bread maker?
So,
Bro, how much does it cost to even cool that thing?
if you're worried about the cooling bill, you shouldn't buy the house. I'm tired of being broke. I'm tired of struggling. And I know my father would expect more of my life.
Glad Jay started things off with a really lighthearted.
Yeah.
God, man.
What's up, y'all? This is CJ Moss. I am here with Shane Sharp, and this is the Lending Bros podcast. So, Shane, how was the week, man? How's everything going?
So good.
So good.
So good.
It's your tagline.
I've been looking forward to this, man.
Yeah, no, I have started to look forward to them. They're fun.
I know, man. Jay made us start doing them, and he's like, do them every week. I'm like, I don't have that much crap to talk about.
Nope. Yep. So it's actually the end of the podcast.
That's it. We're done.
Thanks for coming in. Yeah.
No, man, good week. I helped a couple first-time home buyers, and
Nice,
that's always super rewarding. And things are starting to pick up a little bit.
Have you seen an uptick? I was asked this question by my wife actually a few weeks ago. In the past year, when the market's not been as great, spoiler alert, have you seen an uptick in first-time homebuyers? Do you feel like more first-time homebuyers are able to get into homes because of less competition?
More first-time home buyers are interested in buying homes.
Okay. Seems like there's a but there.
But they're sitting on the sidelines for a really long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, these specific people that just closed actually this morning, I spoke with them 3 years ago.
Wow.
And went and I met with them in person for the first appointment.
Yeah.
And then 3 years later, they're actually buying a house. So I think that's a huge
How good
testament
is that?
for that side.
I mean, 3 years ago, that was probably you're having to offer $100,000 over. You were having to.
Yeah.
It was kind of right within that, right? Because it's about 2.5 years post-COVID.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, that's
we
cool.
We won't talk about the rates then.
No. Yeah.
Dude, Mason won first place on 2 competitions for the
Did he end up
Kentucky
winning?
shooting. Yeah. He won air pistols and 22 pistols, long-range pistols.
How far off is he from because I saw the clip on Twitter of the Olympians
Olympic
doing
stuff?
it. Yeah, is that
They look like
where he's
cyborgs,
headed?
bro.
Oh no, it's kind of creepy, honestly.
Yeah.
Is that where he could be headed? Is that?
Yeah, so he uses the same gun, obviously.
Yeah.
A little bit less expensive,
Yeah.
I would imagine, than the Olympians' guns. But he uses same gun, same ammo. So it's still the 45 millimeter ammo.
Yeah.
Hand loads it. It's bolt action, all that stuff. So, but on the Olympics, they said the middle dot is the size of hitting a pinpoint, and people hit it constantly.
Yeah.
Right. So he was shooting. It was 120 feet, which is pretty far.
That seems far.
With a pistol, right? And their 5th scale. So they're in up close. They're this big. So he's shooting things that are this big, 120 feet away.
How good is that?
With just handheld. It's just crazy. I couldn't shoot that.
I was gonna say, I think the best thing is you've helped zero in this.
I've done nothing. Actually, I was uninvited to go. Yeah. Negative invite. Dude, I can't even shoot a super bougie, rifle at the range 50 feet away.
Well, if you're holding it like that, that's part of the problem.
Yeah, that's true. You don't hold it down here, No. What about you, man? How's your week?
Dude, it's been pretty good. We've definitely seen a uptick in applications, which is good. And starting to get more people, interested. I'm hopeful for a good Q4. I think, like we talked about, I think last podcast, I do think it's, a borderline certainty the rates are going to be cut come September. So I think, the more and more people are seeing the articles that are being posted and seeing rate cut in September, it's kind of brought, not only some people back around your first-time home buyers, right? But people are definitely more interested in seeing homes, thinking that, now that there is a finish line in sight, right?
Sure.
And it's not just, they're going to cut them. hopefully,
Yeah.
so that's been a good week.
I have a really productive question.
Talk to me.
What's your favorite bread to make in your bread maker? I got my wife a bread maker for her birthday.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I have only made one type of bread in my bread maker, and it's been maybe 6 months. But when
Tried to buy it from you, bro.
I know. I just did the plain white bread. Hey, here's my problem.
It's pretty whack, bro.
And this is bougie of me, I understand.
Yeah.
So my problem with the bread maker is it's great. It's very easy.
Yeah.
But then there's a hole on the bottom. And I don't like the hole. I would like it to be, so I think I need to move my bread making capabilities to the oven.
Not a fan of the holes
I don't
in
like
the bread.
Hole. No, don't
Okay.
like the hole.
All right, man. Well,
Did y'all do anything fun this weekend?
what did we do this weekend? I legitimately don't remember what we
That
did
good,
this
huh?
weekend, bro. We went to church. We're lame, dude. So we literally went in the pool Saturday. That's pretty much a day-long thing.
Yeah.
Put some really cool lights in Mason's room,
Nice.
LED lights. Took me about as long as it took me to put these lights
I
up.
wasn't going to say it.
So, yeah, man, that's it. What about you?
We didn't do a whole lot. We, during the day, obviously just hung out with Jackson. And then at night, have y'all watched the Ryan Serhant Netflix show?
I don't know who that is.
You don't know Ryan? Yeah, you do. The real estate agent, he's got like blondish hair in New York, was on $1 Million Listing, was on. So he has his own brokerage, right? Serhant.
Kind of a tool.
I actually really like him.
Do you?
Yeah, don't go ahead.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That's my guy. But Ryan, if you're listening, we'd love to work together. So he started a Netflix show. And so it's him and his brokerage selling real estate in New York.
Houses.
They're selling houses in New
Wow.
York. Yeah. He had a pretty wild. It's like, I think it's in Central Park Avenue or whatever. It's a penthouse that was, I think, 150 million, maybe 250 million. It was like the most expensive listing in America.
150 million.
Just pretty interesting watching him, like the process of reaching out to people to prospect.
What that even looks
Right?
like? Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a very small segment of the population that's going to. I don't think it was 150. I honestly think it may have been 250, but we'll put that in a post. But it was. It's honestly I enjoyed it. It was because Rebecca, my wife, watches a lot of the like Selling Sunset and like.
My wife watches that.
Yeah, it was definitely more like.
$250,000, highest penthouse in the world.
Million?
You nailed it, bro.
Is it 250 million?
250 million.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm not used to saying numbers that big here in Dallas.
So the whole season he actually did not sell it. So it may have gotten the listing taken from him. I don't know what
So
happened.
it's not selling in New York.
Not selling in New York.
In the
Yeah.
name of the show.
But it's much more like it's actually kind of interesting because it's obviously it's staged on a lot of it, like on the
Like
transaction
furniture
side of
staged?
it.
Like
Well, that too.
staged?
They do like go into stuff like that too. Yeah. But they do a lot more of like the makings of the deal in it. So it's interesting. Like you see him talking to buyers or sellers about lowball offers and like, hey, don't get emotional. We need to counter with this. Or, he was coaching an agent up, which I thought was interesting, right? About an agent, one of his agents was getting an offer that was lower. And she was just like, oh, if it's that low, I wouldn't even send. And he's like, no. Like, our job starts with the offer, right? Like, don't decline a low offer.
That is interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so it was very. I actually really liked it. So it's
good, man.
You should take it back. What you said about
I
my
take
guy
it back.
Ryan.
He sounds like a nice guy.
You need to apologize.
Yeah.
But no. So I know we've got kind of some breakdowns here of some homes that are on the market in the DFW area. So we're just going to do two things. One, a kind of walkthrough on initial opinion, but I do think it's interesting because the jumbo world is definitely different than the conforming world. So out there, if it's a loan amount that is above $760,000, it is a jumbo loan. If it's below, it's a conforming loan, right? And it is night and day between, qualifications, between investors, between everything like that, right? And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Yeah.
So I think it would be interesting to go over how you would structure, these loans and what that would look like. So
Also, like, if we would live in these places, some of these places are massive. We
For
need
sure.
a cool name, Jay, for this segment, bro.
Yeah.
We need to figure that out. Cool name to list it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it.
Love
sure.
that.
So let's start with we got 5100 Silver Lake Drive in Plano, Texas. That's my hood, 75093.
Real hood.
My home is not worth $1.695 million, but we are in the same zip code. So
My home's not also 5,750 square feet.
yeah,
Bro, how
5
much
beds.
does it cost to even like cool that thing?
A lot more. If you're worried about the cooling bill, you shouldn't buy the house.
I should not buy this house. That's a good point.
But we got 5 beds. We got 6 baths, like you said. It was built in 1999. It is on a 0.6 acre lot. It's not a ton of land, but it is in Plano. What are your thoughts on the house in general?
It's super cool, man. I like the whole. I feel like I know they say it's not a fad, but I feel like the whole white house thing outside is kind of like a
For sure.
fad thing, especially the white painted brick. Obviously, there's probably not a single brick outside of this bougie house.
Nope,
but,
nope.
It's
also not white.
Super cool.
Yep.
It is white.
Nope, tan house.
Okay, it's very tan. There's white pillars outside.
Yeah, there are white pillars.
columns.
There is some white on the house. You're
The
correct.
inside is white.
Yeah, the inside's very white, and that lovely house. I'm sure it's great. If I'm paying 1.69 million and I've got those spindles, I would personally have a bit of a problem with that.
I agree.
think
That would be a deal breaker.
it's a little old school for me. I get it was built in 1999, but like yeah. So
that's Prince.
Put
Prince
your
is a fan of 1999.
yeah.
Oh, shut up, Jay. You weren't
that's
born.
crazy.
Dude, stop making us feel old.
Better than 2000. That always makes me feel crazy old.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so put your mortgage hat on. How if I'm client and I come to you and I say, hey Shane, I want to put 5% down on this home.
I would say probably not a good idea to buy this house.
Probably not.
Yeah. So the biggest thing on this is the purchase price at just at about 1.7. Most jumbo loans are going to require. Most options are going to require 20% down.
Yeah, there's a couple out there with less, but
There's a few.
Yeah.
So you could do a first and a second loan.
what is that?
So what it is we would have one loan at $1.5 million. That would be the jumbo loan, and 90% LTV on that loan to value, and then we could have a second loan at 10%, 10% down, which would be about $170,000 on the second loan.
Okay.
So that way we can avoid having. Most jumbo loans have a limit, a maximum of not 80% loan to value, so it require 20% down. So that second loan allows them to bring far less to closing. If they don't have $400,000 to bring to closing, most people
For sure.
would not. Then that allows them to bring potentially $170,000 less to close.
Nice. All right. So if you were to if I were to come to you and say, hey, I want to buy this home as is, 1.7 million, put 20% down, what would you expect a monthly payment to be for me?
So I always like to crap on Zillow because they're a marketing company. They're not in the business of giving accurate numbers. So
Yep.
they're estimating that the payment on there would be $11,600 per month.
Yep.
That's actually not terribly far off. The actual payment with taxes and insurance that I would estimate would be about $12,300.
Okay.
So it's about $800 more per month. Biggest thing on that is because they have a ridiculously low estimate for insurance, and then also taxes are off, right? Which is really common. Mortgage payment alone would be about $9,000. Taxes and insurance, everything about $12,300.
Nice. That's awesome. Good. I think a lot of people, what they don't realize about just looking at payments on Zillow, things like that. One, you're right. I think insurance is almost consistently wrong. If you don't own a home, you should know that insurance has definitely gone up recently. 50%
increase last year or this year.
So I think it's probably taken Zillow's algorithms a little bit to catch up to that, right? And they haven't. But then on taxes, right, taxes aren't something that you would want a computer to calculate, right? Because even if they pull it correctly from the county, there's certain exemptions. There's certain, the owner of this home could be over 65 and getting an exemption. And so it pulls the taxes, hundreds of dollars less a month because of those exemptions. So that is something where no matter who you're working with, right, I would definitely send homes to your loan officer so they can pull accurate taxes so they have a better idea on home insurance. Because last thing you want to do, right, is if I've got a budget of no more than $12,000. Well, Zillow tells me this is 11,643. I'm golden. You go under contract, and I was surprised they're $500 off on insurance and $500 off on taxes. You got a $13,000 payment now.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
So I've seen that, unfortunately, and heard that quite a lot.
That's a really good question. I think you should be asking your lender too. Is how are you calculating taxes for a specific property, and what are you doing to adjust for different exemptions? And then if they pause and like stare at you like you don't know what you're talking about, run and fire them. I think that's definitely a big point there, man.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like I do think everyone should know that if you're getting ballpark numbers from a lender, that's great. Like if there's not a home yet, that's what it should be, right? But just be sure that if you send them an address, those numbers are no longer ballpark, right? Like you can go in the county, you can find the exact figure and do that, right?
Yep.
So, all right, let's go to the next one. So we've got 6216 Preserve Drive in Plano, Texas, 75024.
This home is white.
Home is white. The
Yeah.
home is white, not painted brick, but the home is white. Pretty crazy. 4 beds. That's a lot of house for 4 beds.
It is.
But personally, we don't need more than 4 beds. So the 6 baths, I like that. 3,600 square feet. This is more my style. I'm a sucker for a modern garage.
A modern garage?
Garage.
Like
yeah.
the door? Like what part needs to be modern?
Yeah, the door. Like how that's like that like fogged glass or whatever, and it, like the metal door, the old school garage door. That's not me.
You wouldn't like my door.
Things. Oh, mine's what I don't like, for the record. So
we can get you a nice modern garage door for your birthday.
That. Thank you.
We'll do that.
Yeah. But yeah, again, 1.799 million. It is on. Let's see. It was built in 2022, so it's definitely newer, which is nice. Have you seen? I obviously have a lot of clients, right? And I'm sure you do too, that come to you and say, like, "Hey, I want to buy a brand new house because I don't want to deal with all the problems. I don't want to deal with, things breaking, things like that." Which on the surface, I get. Have you, in your experience, is there really much difference between a home built today, like 2024, or 2021, 2022, other than you probably get a price break because it's not brand new?
Yeah, man. I think this is such like a hot topic, man. Like, I don't know. I've heard a lot of different things. I've heard more horror stories with homes that were built in the last couple years because they were shot up and just kind of shot together real quick. Yeah. About them having issues and stuff with the home. Yeah. I think the one benefit of having a home that's a couple years old, it can go both ways, right? I mean, you have a warranty and stuff like that on a new home.
Yep.
But like, ain't nobody got time for all that stuff, right? So specifically with like a house that's a couple years old, I think the benefit is that there's any settling or anything in the house and foundation and stuff like that, it's already done. Anything that's, what I heard is anything that was built after 2018 had substantially better, more efficient house insulation and stuff like that.
For sure.
Am I answering your question?
Yeah, no, that's my question.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about you? What do you think?
Man, I think what a lot of buyers don't realize is that even if you're buying an existing home, you can get the seller to pay for a warranty, right?
Yeah.
Just like it's a new home. I think a lot of it depends on how long you are expecting to be in the home. Because I think sometimes what realtors, especially, and what clients don't really realize is if I want to move in 2 years, right? I want to buy this new home because I don't want any problems. Well, twofold. Have you checked to be sure that the HOA is going to allow you to rent? Because we ran into that with one of my past clients. And their HOA covenants are normally a lot more strict on the new builds than existing. But the second thing is, how long is it going to take to build everything out, right? Because if you're moving in 2 years and you want to sell a home, let's say, and they haven't finished everything, and you have a buyer who can get a brand new home,
so good, dude,
for what you would be selling it, you're going to lose that battle, right? So new homes in general, definitely exceptions to this, right? But I have found appreciate a little bit slower.
Yeah.
Because of that reason, right there. For the first couple of years, they're a little bit kind of, slower for that, because most people, if it's an exact same house in the exact same neighborhood, they're going to choose new over existing, right? So That's really my thing. I have never bought a new build. I don't really ever plan on buying a new build. I like existing homes. The one we live in now, we bought and kind of tore up and renovated, and I'm one of the crazy people that actually enjoyed that process.
Yeah. So Chip and Joanna Gaines aren't lying to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Yes.
All right, last one. We're gonna bump up a little bit in price range. So we're staying in Plano, one of my favorite neighborhoods in Plano, 3512 Willow Bend Drive, Plano, Texas 75093. For $8.7 million, you can get this beautiful 5-bed, 6-bath home, 7184 square feet, and a awesome lot on 2.71 acres in Plano, with a honestly sick pool.
Super sick pool, man.
This is the dream right here. I love everything about this house. I love the outside, the painted brick, as Shane would say. The lot, the pool. It looks like there's maybe even like a pool house or like a mother-in-law suite out there.
Yeah.
This is it, man. Tell me what a mortgage would be on $8.7 million if I put, let's say, 20% down.
So the mortgage alone, you ready for this?
Talk to me.
$46,000.
Okay.
For just the mortgage, no taxes and insurance.
It's a lot of loans.
Yeah. Property taxes are estimated to be around $160,000.
That's it
per year.
Okay.
$160,000.
We're heading in the wrong direction. You're crushing my dreams here.
Yeah. It's super, super awesome house though, man.
I think this is one thing that I think is interesting though. So you've heard it, like I've heard it a million times. Like, oh, it's just, rates are so damn high. They've got my payment at $50,000 for my dream house. If you were to drop that interest rate from, let's say, 6.875 to 5.875, what is the payment? Putting you on the spot here.
So it's actually a lot less than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And actually do this for a living. So that's not good. It's $5,000 less, which sounds like a lot of money because it is a lot of money. But it goes from $46,000 to $41,000.
Yeah, and that is on a $6 million loan amount. That's why it's such a
$7 million loan
amount. It's really, in the grand scheme of things, you're paying 46 versus 41. You're not going to feel that, right? $5,000 a month, and then when you scale that down, right, on a $300,000 house, you're talking, $100, $200 a month, right?
Yep.
And so I do understand why everyone is so interest rate focused. But there's nothing that is going to, drive a payment more than the price you're able to get it for.
100%. Yeah, $400,000 loan, specific amount of it, rates go down 1%. It's $270 less per month.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to make or break the budget at that, right?
For sure.
Definitely would take $270 a month. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Nice. Well, I have a confession to make. I have been absolutely grinding it out on NCAA 25. Not a big video game guy, but it brings me back to my childhood. Last time it was out was 2014.
Yeah. So this is a big deal. Like this
this is a big deal. It's on the main TV. I put the kid down. Rebecca gets to watch nothing except me build Rice into a dynasty.
Huge video game guy, huge sports guy.
Yeah, big sports guy. But that kind of got me thinking. What was your college experience? Walk me through Shane Sharp in college.
A little bit different than yours.
Probably.
I went to UNT.
Okay.
I think that's how it is. Like an eagle. In case you
I get it.
Yeah. So UNT. So I lived. My roommates were super. They sucked. And my parents. I love you, mom and dad. So commuted from Carrollton to Denton.
Okay.
For all 4 years.
Okay. Yeah, our college experiences were a touch different.
Yeah. So, college parties were a little bit different because I had to drive home. So, the roommates wanted me home every night. And then I worked like 2 or 3 jobs, man. So I was grinding out. So, but super blessed. I don't have a bunch of student loan debt like a lot of people do.
Yeah. Did you pay your way through college?
Yeah.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it helps when the roommates don't make me pay rent.
That's true.
Yeah, so that helps as well.
Nice.
So, what about you, man?
Dude, a little bit different. So my first year I was at the University of Arkansas, and did that whole thing. And I grew up a big University of Oklahoma fan. Boomer Sooner. My brother.
You have a sound you can make?
Not really. We just kind of do this because we're the best, So it's like that's the thing.
It's not douchey
But
at all.
no, not at all. So I ended up leaving Arkansas. I love Fayetteville. I actually think that's an incredible school. I just kind of missed the football games and the sporting events for Oklahoma. So I transferred. I did my last 3 years at Oklahoma. Political science degree with a minor in history and constitutional studies. So was very prepared for the mortgage industry when I got into
Constitutional studies?
Yeah, I was going to law school. And so my thought was I kind of wanted to do like almost like constitutional law and then possibly be like a professor and teach all that. But yeah, so and then graduated and did not go to law school and instead became a loan officer assistant, and 10 years later here we are.
So exciting, bro.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
So with the political science stuff, like do you use that like in, obviously you don't use it for your job, but like do you use that in, I don't know, like when laws come out or like political stuff, or I don't know.
So I do feel myself getting like pulled into like, especially around this time, right? Like politics interest me.
What's
right?
this time? What's happening?
Yeah, the election. It interests me. So like, yes, I probably read more political commentary, like high level political commentary than most people. But like, other than that, like, no, I don't. I do think one thing I'm grateful for, because you have a finance degree, right?
Yeah.
So I mean that correlates, right? I do think people ask me all the time.
Does it though? I mean, yeah, I guess we're in finance. We do mortgages.
Yeah. But I do think for me, college, I had a lot of fun, but it allowed me to like mature and get the the emotional intelligence that I use.
Yeah.
Whereas I think I would have struggled coming into this industry at 18 or 19, not really knowing how business works or how interpersonal relationships work. Right. So I think that was that 4 years was helpful.
Yeah.
For that. But yeah, I mean, as far as my actual degree, I don't really use it for sure.
It's funny, dude. I've noticed like with political like conversations, you're pretty quiet, which is smart.
Yeah.
I'm not. I poke the bear.
Yeah, for sure. Part of it is just like I don't really care too much one way or the other. It's more of an interest. I'm not a very political person. It just kind of fascinates me.
Yeah.
So I'm more from like a 50,000 foot view, like looking at everything.
Yeah.
I don't get as wrapped into like make America great again or something like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So
Love that.
This is a new segment. I don't know if anyone out there is a Reddit fan, but there's a real estate. Is it a thread? But real estate.
There's there's Reddit and then there's subreddits.
Subreddit. That's right. There is a Reddit there's a subreddit. Excuse me.
Right, Jay, you're
stuff.
young. Are we saying this right? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So this gentleman right here, I would love for you to give him advice. So the title is Advice for an 18-year-old Starting Out. So am I just reading this? Okay. All right. So he says, I'm 18 years old with no parents. I use the money from my parents' passing to buy a home on a 2-acre lot, and I work a full-time retail job to pay bills. I generally struggle to make ends meet and growing up poor, has made me understand I don't want to be poor forever. I have no family left and nobody to ask these questions, but I want to get into real estate. I graduated high school with an abysmal GPA as I was taking care of my dying father and working full-time to pay our bills, but I'm a damn good salesman. I've outperformed everyone in my district in my position, and I've been extended multiple opportunities to move up, but the pay is just too low for me to consider it. I guess my main questions are, 1, is it even worth getting my license, or should I take a different route for my career? 2, how will I gain the knowledge to perform well? Are there apprenticeships I can take advantage of? 3, realistically, with hard work and dedication, will my income really be that much better than what I'm doing now, or if I was to move up in my company? Really, my goal in life is just to make it out of the horrible situation I've been put in. I'm tired of being broke. I'm tired of struggling, and I know my father would expect more of my life. It's kind of sad.
Wow. So Jay found these. I'm glad Jay started things off with a really lighthearted.
Yeah.
God, man. This is actually a really cool,
story.
Yeah, really cool scenario. I mean, my initial thoughts are, it sounds like he's a smart dude and he had to just grind. And I think those are the people that, in this industry, in mortgage and real estate, insurance, anything like that. I mean, you can very easily make minimum wage if you just skate by, and you could absolutely kill it if you have the drive. Interested to see your thoughts, but I think it could be something that, it sounds like he has a good amount of money. He doesn't have anyone to fall back on. I think anyone, when you go into a 100% referral based industry, real estate, mortgage, insurance, anything like that, you have to either have a really good support system behind you.
Yep.
Both of us had, amazing spouses, right, that supported us through that when we got things going. Or you have to have a pretty good amount of money for an emergency fund while you ramp things up, because it could be 6 months before you have a single paycheck.
It will be 6 months.
Yeah. So that's what sticks out to me. What are your thoughts on this, man?
Dude, I think one, I love the idea. Looking back on it now, obviously we're 100% commission. We kill. I don't think I could work a salary position. I think I would end up going crazy. Yep. Right. There is 1,000% risk that comes from it. Yeah. The advice I would give him is, one, be sure that you absolutely want to do it. Right. And then I would burn the boats. I would burn the boats. I would, it sounds like he's got a home on 2 acres. I would either do a HELOC or sell that, have that be what you want to do. I do think starting out, if he doesn't have a huge sphere of influence, he's 18, so he probably doesn't have a huge sphere of influence. I do think there is legitimate value in joining a established team. Yeah. Who does, do leads or give you opportunities with that to build your business. And then if you want to go and do your own thing after that, go for it, right? But I think starting out in real estate, I think a lot of people underestimate how hard it is to get someone to trust you to allow them to be your realtor and to find those people. But then certainly how hard it is to do that consistently.
Well, then to close the actual transaction.
Yeah. It's not just finding someone who wants to buy. They got to qualify. Yeah. They got to like the house. They got to get through it, right? So
that's a great point, man. Having a team, I think, would be super important for the first at least 20, 30 transactions. And then we have people that we work with that are lifelong, fans of working on a team and that environment, the community, everything on there. So
for sure. Yeah.
Cool. I'll read the next one on there. Yeah. All right. So this next one is also real estate sub. How likely is it for a seller to accept a new offer from the same buyer if the initial deal falls through?
Interesting.
All right, so we have an accepted offer on a home that needs rehabilitation, so some work done. We've had hurdle after hurdle on this project. The home is owned by a bank. Okay. Our accepted offer is definitely above the current value, and we have no backup offers or offers near ours due to the current conditions of the home. We're working on an FHA home style loan, which doesn't exist.
Not a
thing. Yep. Off to a good start. And our general contractor just backed.
Those are called 203K.
Yeah. Yep. General contractor just backed out due to staffing issues. Our handyman, whom the GC yesterday...
whom we preferred going with.
Our handyman, whom we'd prefer going with, isn't interested in working on a renovation loan.
Don't blame him.
Yep. Can't do it also. You can't do a handyman. Has to be a general contractor. So we needed paperwork from the GC yesterday in order for us to make closing. We requested the extension. Let me pause. I think a lot of this is, I'm already seeing so far, there's this lender did a terrible job at setting expectations.
Horrific.
There's no education. They're not setting expectations. They shouldn't be waiting to the last minute. There shouldn't be like a shocker that we're needing to get these documents from the general contractor, right?
Yeah.
So I'll keep reading. So we requested an extension, the only extension we've asked for, and they're willing to grant it on the contingency, they as in the seller, willing to grant it on the contingency that this deal doesn't close and the new closing date, we lose our earnest money, which is normal.
It's very normal, yeah.
At this point, I'm trying to find a new contractor that's willing to work with the renovation loans and not sure how quickly I'll even have estimates from the new people that we've contacted. I'm not very comfortable gambling with our earnest money as we don't really have that kind of money to spare. My question, if we don't agree to the new agreement and let the deal die, how likely is it that the bank accepts our new offer from us?
Just go down to the edit.
Edit to add. We are attempting to find a hard money loan but aren't having any much luck. Even though we would be refinancing prior to occupying the home, Many won't do any sort of deal. The intention is to live in there. Not sure why it would matter, considering why it wouldn't be occupied until they've paid.
Until they've been paid. Yeah, wow.
Lot to unpack here.
There's a lot to unpack here. Renovation loans are great products, but renovation loans are hard loan products.
Yeah.
And it does not, to your point, it does not sound like this client was properly prepared for what it was going to take to do a renovation loan.
Right.
And even, like we talked about, a handyman can't do it, right? Unless he's a licensed general contractor, which if he is, he's probably not a handyman, right?
Why is that? Like, why can the handyman not do the work on a renovation loan?
Because the lender, you got to think about it from the lending perspective, right? The person giving you the money is trying to assure that everything is going to be done not only to code, but well enough, because their only collateral is the home that you are changing, right? And so that's why there is a ton of documentation up front. Everything. The bid has to be broken down into labor, parts, hourly work, everything, right?
Down to, I always tell this when I talk to people about, how detailed the bid needs to be, like to prove a point. And literally, if you put hardwood floors down, I need to know the specific color of the hardwood floors. Because if you go with some kind of purple wood, that's going to have a different change on value if you go with like a light oak, right? So like that specific has to be broken down.
And I think that, and I'm sure you agree to this, I think most of the time, most clients are surprised that most lenders don't allow you to just like, here's the money and do the renovations that you would like to do. Right. There are ways to do that, right? If you close on the home and then do a, home equity line of credit or anything like that, you get a little more freedom with it. But to answer Fluffy-_Operation 705's question, I do think that every situation is different. I think the communication is important here. And if they're working with an agent, you should tell that agent to find another lender. But two, if you explain that you are looking to search for contractors, you jumped into this a little, let me get my ducks in a row and come back, I would think most people would be agreeable to that. I think two risks, right? One, it sells while you're getting your ducks in a row. Right. But if you don't have the money to gamble with your earnest money, and this isn't very far into I can tell, right? And very far into the renovation loan, I would absolutely back out of the deal.
100% agree. I would recommend this person walks, and there's a good chance that the seller would then come back and say, no, just kidding. We'll give you an extension. But we had to stop. I had to stop doing this because I was told by our compliance department that we couldn't do it. For the longest time, I required that I would not do a renovation loan unless they use one of my GCs. Because a general contractor can make or break a deal. And I've had so many horror stories.
There's so many.
That from contractors doing this. I mean, I had for my house, a guy that I thought I trusted, that I knew, and I gave him like $20,000 to renovate 2 of our bathrooms in our house.
How'd that go?
Not good. We literally went out of town for 10 days, and he was like, I can get all the demo and the majority of the stuff done on this one bathroom, and you'll have another bathroom to use when we get back. Awesome. So we had cameras in the house, like that we installed prior to all this, not that creepy guy. And we were like, oh, man, I'd love to see the house, what it looks like. Nothing was done after the second day. He just demoed everything, and so we literally didn't have a bathroom to use for it was like 30 days.
No, I remember. It was a while.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I think I would definitely tell them to walk away, find another GC, maybe reconsider the whole renovation overall.
Yeah, I agree. I think people underestimate how hard it is if you are trying to finance renovations. If you've got the cash, or you're going to sell a home and have the cash to do it, it's still not easy, right? There's still general contract nightmares, right? But it is much harder, and there are many more documents to get for renovation loans.
For sure.
All right, last one on this, and this is I'm going to be on my soapbox here. This is something that I feel passionately about. So from our friend Starry Cat 16, please share experiences accepting an FHA offer. So they are a home seller. I'm helping my elderly parents sell their house so they can retire elsewhere. Selling their home has been challenging. Barely any offers due to a handful of reasons. Local economy is bad, home is deferred maintenance, etc. We received an FHA offer, and it's our best and only serious offer. I'm weary about the risk associated with an FHA loan. If you have an experience in accepting FHA loans, could you please share your experience and tips on how to best manage FHA loan risk? Things off the top of my head include, how do we navigate fixing issues identified by the FHA appraisal? Should I try to preemptively address these issues? How do we reduce the risk of us, parentheses seller, fixing issues only to have the transaction fall through? And the third and final, what does the timeline for accepting an FHA offer look like? Specifically, what must be done before we receive the money, assuming that's when we are no longer at risk of the transaction falling through.
Yeah, this is a really, really good question.
Very
And
good question.
I think that the initial thought on this is that they're assuming that because it's FHA that it's going to be more difficult to get the loan, which 99.999% of the time does not apply.
It's actually easier to close an FHA loan. Fun fact.
Yep. Yeah, I agreed 100% for actually doing the loan. Property condition very rarely is a FHA specific thing. What are your initial thoughts on this?
Man, I can't tell you how many conversations with listing agents I have had where, and it's just out there, right? Like, FHA, I'm worried about the FHA appraisal. Oh man, it's going to be harder to close the loan. I don't know how many FHA loans I've done through my career. It's a lot. They are by far easier loans to close than conventional loans. And it's really not even close.
Yep.
So like in the FHA appraisal thing, it's really only if the home is in like actually bad condition. Like the appraiser is not going through thinking like, oh man, that's outdated, need to fix that. Right? They are going through saying, is this a livable home? And are there actual structural problems with this home?
Right.
And fun fact, conventional appraisers do that
Exact same
anyways.
thing. Yep.
Now, they do have a little more stricter guidelines on FHA, but just slightly as far as appraisals.
Yeah.
I very, very, very rarely run into, especially in this area, right? Very rarely run into not as is what we call them, appraisals requiring repairs.
Yep.
To answer the question, I think it's fair, right? If they're not crazy repairs, to wait until the client is through, everything's been, documented, everything's, they're essentially clear to close, right? And the post-funding condition is, the appraisals as is, right?
Yeah.
But just know once you fix the house, they're going to have to send the appraiser back out there. And so, you want there to be enough time.
Yeah.
But I think it is truly a misnomer that FHA loans are somehow worse or harder to close than conventional loans.
Yeah, and VA also falls in this bucket.
VA is even easier.
Exact same boat.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think I would actually give the number one thing I would say is you need to have a really good realtor that understands this.
Yeah.
And the real answer to this, not the BS answer that we've been told, right? And then the realtor needs to use their discretion. And I think it depends on like what the items are.
Yeah.
And I'm not a licensed realtor, and I'm not a inspector and attorney here, so don't sue me on this. But if there's some cracks in the wall and you've confirmed that there's no foundation issues, fill in the cracks before you list the house.
Yeah, for sure.
And paint the cracks, right? If there's some wood that's rotting and has no, it's about to fall off on the house, or some fascia boards on the sides, pay a handyman $100 to come and replace the wood and or paint it.
Yeah.
So like stuff like that, I think stuff like that could lead to a bigger issue with an appraisal and stuff like that. Just go and do it beforehand. It's going to cost you less. But the most common issue that I see that pops up is rotting wood, which is a really easy fix.
Yep.
And then cracks in the wall that could lead to foundation. An underwriter is not a structural engineer.
No.
So if an underwriter and appraiser sees a crack in the wall or anything like that, if you've already done your due diligence to make sure that the house is in good shape, I'm not saying don't disclose that to the new buyer. Disclose what you need to disclose, but let the inspector do their job. Don't let the underwriter get involved.
For sure.
That would be my advice on that.
I think one important caveat to what I was saying is we have very good appraisers.
Yeah.
And I do think that is something that, and I understand it because it doesn't make a whole lot of logistical and common sense. I do think that is something that gets really undervalued when choosing a lender.
For sure.
Because you can't see it until it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
And of course, if you're talking to a loan officer, we have great appraisers, right? But a local lender who has local appraisers that they work with multiple times, that they do a lot of, volume with, is normally going to have appraisers that are not actively trying to kill a deal.
Yeah.
Right. That
They
does.
have a relationship, and also they're being audited, so they are giving accurate information, right?
Yeah.
And I think the biggest difference between a local lender and a bank or an online lender, right,
Online lender,
operating in
especially,
a central state, banks and online lenders are going to use what they call appraisal pools.
Yep.
An appraisal pool is terrifying. If you took it's like an 8-hour class to be an appraiser. Took an 8-hour class and took like a pretty easy test. One of my really good friends is an appraiser, so I don't feel bad. Appraisers' jobs are not they are not easy.
No, they're very hard.
But it is not hard to be an appraiser, to become an appraiser, right?
It's not hard to be a lender either.
It's not. Fair. Yeah, exactly, 100%. So if you could fog a mirror and you take this test, you could be an appraiser, and you get put in this pool, and it's whoever can get out there first with the lowest bid gets it. That's an appraisal pool. That's terrifying to me. So what we have, what Benchmark has, is we have a local AMC, appraisal management company, and they hand select a list. It's still compliant. We can't say I want Bob to go out and do this house because he's my homie.
Yep.
But you have a list of 5 to 10 appraisers in that area, and we vetted them out. If they do a poor job, they're fired.
And I think the important thing to note here is a poor job is not a home below value.
Yes, that's
right?
correct. Yep.
A poor job is not being able to back up why you have the home below value or above value.
Yep.
And, not having the correct comps or making mistakes. That is what gets a appraiser pulled from an AMC, right? Not this home, we listed this, we need this value at 500. It came in at, 450. Get them off the board, right? Like if he did his due diligence and his comparables are the correct comparables and it's 450, it's 450, right? But I think that's the biggest thing because one of the reasons why 2008 was a problem, right, is lenders had direct relations with appraisers, and if the appraiser wanted more deals, they were going to make value. That is no longer the case.
Bro, we can't even get their phone number.
I don't think I've ever talked to an appraiser.
I've tried, for not even malicious reasons.
Yeah.
Just to be like, hey, bro, can you update this for me?
Yeah.
Won't get it. Like, our AMC does such a good job.
Yeah.
It's annoying sometimes being compliant on this stuff. The other question they asked is, how do we reduce the risk of the sellers fixing these issues, only have their transaction fall through? I think you're only doing the cosmetic stuff, cheap cosmetic stuff before it lists. Again, talk to your realtor that should know this. Doing the cheap cosmetic stuff that won't raise any big flags, and then you're waiting. The way that they'll structure it on the contract is they're going to agree to all the terms of the repairs and everything, put it in writing, and those repairs won't be done until the buyer is past all contingencies.
Yep.
So you're never going to be 100% sure that the deal is going to go through, but you can, if you have a good realtor that's vetting them out and everything else on there, it's 98% chance that it goes through.
For sure. Yeah. All right, last one. You want to read this one? Division of property.
Yeah. So this is from, dude. What is your name that you use on stuff like online? Like, what's your username?
I think my one for Reddit it's a work one.
Yeah.
So it's like TMG LO, the Moss Group LO.
That's real professional.
Yeah.
Mine's Needle Sharp.
I thought you were going somewhere different with that.
No, Needle Sharp. It used to be, back before my DJ name was Needle Sharp, it used to be, I don't think I've ever told you this. You know my DJ name before Needle Sharp?
No.
This is in middle school.
Okay.
DJ Giggles with a Z. I thought it was the coolest name ever, dude. DJ Giggles. So I had to retire DJ Giggles when I realized that's kind of immature.
Yeah.
And I upgraded to Needle Sharp.
My gamer tag back in the day, this is a little cringy.
Oh.
Was CJ Moss is a boss. But then I realized probably not a great idea to have my first and last name on the gamer tag. So I don't know if it's quite as bad as DJ Giggles, but it's not great.
Love that, man. Well, this username is lavender_lips. Underscore. So there's probably another lavender.
Yeah, lavender lips was taken.
Yeah. Okay. So division of property, unmarried. Bought a house with my then fiance. Relationship fell apart less than a year later. Assessing my legal options. State of residence is Pennsylvania. Above all, I want my name.
Let me tell you, I'm an expert on Pennsylvania title law.
I can't either. Yeah. But we can talk about Texas at least.
Yeah,
though.
that's true.
Above all, I want my name off of my deed and to move out ASAP. Okay. Issues. Number one, X does not want to sell. Thinks it will cost too much. Possibly true since equity isn't a ton. Issue number two, X claims that they're unable to afford to buy me out. Has family that would probably help, but is not asked. Problem number three, X trying to insist I stay on the deed and get a renter. I refuse, as X is an inept housekeeper.
Okay.
Anyone else have issues, insight? And anyone else have any insights or tips, ideas I haven't thought of yet? I'm told that I have no legal protection being unwed.
So I do, again, disclaimer, neither one of us are lawyers, and this would really be a question for one of our, title companies.
Yeah.
But in Texas, right, I do know, without a divorce decree, I don't think you're going to be able to demand your way off of a deed,
Yeah.
right? But if you want off of it, you will probably have to, if you were on the loan, right? So if Lavender Lips was on the loan, Lavender Lips is going to have to get her ex to do a refinance to get her to be removed.
Yeah.
Because she signed up for the responsibility, 50% of the responsibility as a co-borrower or the main borrower. She can't just snap her fingers and get rid of that. That seems like a bad situation, but
For sure.
I would honestly probably reach out if I were her to a real estate attorney, because I do wonder if there's some sort of, not necessarily common law because it probably wasn't that long, right? But there may be some protection that she could get to not force, but really make him, I guess, refinance the home if he doesn't want to sell it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, Lavender Lips is in a tough spot. It's
not great.
Sure.
No.
And let me be clear, like, this isn't like a moral thing. Like, my wife and I bought a house before we were married.
So do we.
So like, neither of us obviously have an issue with
Sorry,
this
Mom.
scenario, right? Yeah. What I've, and I would always, and actually I just met really sweet first time home buyer couple out at Union Bear. Shout out, it's my spot. They know me my name. So met them there just to talk really high level, just have a couple beers and just kind of walk through the process on everything. They're not married, they're not engaged, and they're looking to buy a house. So my advice I always give people that aren't married is, like, you really need to talk to an attorney to draft up something.
We want prenup.
Yeah, we want prenup. So you really need to have a conversation with a real estate attorney to draft something up. But let's be honest, no one does.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't either. So, but they're at least
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Nothing. We love each other.
At least go on LegalZoom and get like a napkin,
Something
written up to prevent this from happening.
You don't even need to go on LegalZoom. Just Word doc it, and you guys both sign it.
Or GPT.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, ChatGPT it. Get something in writing. Because if you're married, the difference would have been here if you're married, then in a divorce scenario, in it doesn't have to be an attorney. A judge would say what happens to this in the division of assets.
Division of property. Yep. Exactly.
So when you're not married, there is no judge that gets involved unless you go to small claims court, that's going to decide what happens to the division of the property. And the issue that she's referring to, I think your ex is telling the truth. Well, without knowing all the details, he's probably telling the truth that they're unable to afford to buy you out because, number one, they have to have the cash, which they probably don't have. There's most likely not enough equity in the house to do any kind of cash out or home equity line of credit. If you only had it for a year in this market, the home value probably only went up 7 or 8% at best, right? Selling the house, saying it can't sell the house is very silly. That's just a dude having ego. Probably you could break even and sell it with a realtor on there. That's not the case on there. But y'all were both on the loan for a reason. It probably wasn't just because of love. It was probably because of qualifying.
Yep.
So they're gonna have to get parents involved or something like that. But I would say number 3 isn't an option. Getting a renter in, you do have to consent to that because it is your property. So I would make it as difficult as you can to get option number 1 or 2 in there.
Yeah, to your point, right? I think if the difference right here is unmarried versus married, a judge would essentially, what I have seen happen is, okay, Mr. Buyer or Mr. Guy getting divorced, Mr. Lavender Lips, we're going to give you 1 year to refinance or a certain amount of time, refinance Mrs. Lavender Lips off of the property. And, if they don't get it done, then you have legal recourse to go after them.
Yeah.
To your point, I do think that's actually really good advice. If you are unmarried, I haven't even thought about that. If you are unmarried and you are not, and you're buying a house, which we both did. This is not a, it's not
really funny, actually. Yeah.
you probably should have something in writing that acts like the judge would. So whoever decides to keep the house has to remove the other person through a refinance or whatever it is within a determined amount of time. Both sign it. I know nothing ever goes wrong. You guys love each other. It won't be you, but you might as well do it.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, and I think this is, I want to say this really quick. I think this is the difference between working with, an advisor and working with someone who's purely transactional.
Yeah, that's great.
I when I met with that person 3 years ago, that couple 3 years ago that just bought a house today,
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to help them with the house as long as I did the right thing, gave advice. At that time, the advice that I gave them was you shouldn't buy right now.
Yeah.
Right. And with these people I met that were unmarried, that were buying a house together, great idea. I did the same thing. And the hurdle with the specific scenario is if I am doing this transaction, helping them with the biggest purchase of their life, the only way I can do this for my business is to help them with future transactions and get referred by them to other people.
Yep.
That's not going to happen if this lavender lips scenario pops up.
For sure.
So I think working with someone who is emotionally invested in you and knows what they're doing and can advise you through that is crucial through the whole process on there.
Dude, I love that. All right, y'all. That's all we got. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions or need any advice, please reach out.
Thanks, y'all. Take care, everyone.
Your tagline, bro. Do your tagline.
Oh, is that my tagline?
Yeah, bro.
All right, y'all. So stay informed, stay cautious, and protect your financial future. Take care, everyone.
Peace.